Hello, my name is April Vollmer, and I wanted to speak to you today about Japanese woodcut. This is a recording of a talk made at the Portland Japanese Garden, Rooted in Nature, which is about the exhibition Enduring Impressions, Contemporary Woodblock Prints, originally curated for the Honolulu Museum of Art by Stephen Salel. I'm a New York artist, author, and educator with an MFA from Hunter College in New York, and I've specialized in mokuhanga since participating in the Nagasawa Art Park program in 2004. My book, Japanese Woodblock Print Workshop on the Contemporary Use of Mokuhanga, was released by Watson Guptill in 2015. Here's an image of the cover of the book. It's based on Zova, a print I made in 2008 from blocks printed multiple times in multiple colors. You can see three different variations here. I'm primarily a visual artist, but I also write a fair amount, and I had published several articles about Japanese woodcut in printmaking magazines. And in 2012, I signed a contract with with Watson Guptill to write a book about Japanese woodblock. It's partially a how-to, but also about why it's significant and the sort of creative opportunities that it offers artists. Here's a little more detail about the words that I use. Moku, I use the word mokuhanga a lot to indicate Japanese water-based woodblock. In Japanese, it just means woodblock printmaking. Moku means wood, and hanga printmaking. And the special characteristics are that it's printed with a handheld printing disc. It's printed with water-based color, watercolor, gouache, and sumi ink. And it's registered with a kenso notch cut into the corner of the block. Another thing about Japanese woodblock is it's best printed on good Japanese paper made from the inner bark of the paper mulberry tree. And then there are words that identify kind of movements within the technique of mokuhanga. Ukiyo-e is the word we use most often, and that's generally translated as pictures of the floating world. And the example here is Hokusai's famous Great Wave. These prints were made by groups of specialized artisans. The publisher organized a group of people. There was an artist, a carver, a printer, and related booksellers and tool makers and paper makers. So the artist was just one within a group of specialized craftspeople. Shinhanga is the word, a description of prints made in the early 20th century that evolved from ukiyo-e. And those prints are mostly retrospective about old Japan or about travel, and many were made for sale in the West. The example here is Hiroshi Yoshida. The Yoshida family was very active and produced a whole range of work, generally described as shinhanga, meaning new prints. The style movement that was most close to the creative print movement that I'm talking about is called sosakuhanga, and those are creative prints made in Japan during the early 20th century where the artist cut and printed his own blocks. And the example here is Shiko Munakata. This is a large print that he carved and printed himself. It's a Buddhist image of archers firing, rather than arrows, they're firing flowers. And this is a slide of some of the special tools that Japanese printmakers use. The bonded steel cutting tools on the lower right are made from bonded steel, very sharp, brittle steel bonded to a softer steel for strength. So they're very sharp and for accurate cutting. The lower right ones have a ring on the bottom, and that's so that you could hit them with a mallet, which is especially helpful when the wood is hard. The ukiyo-e prints were generally made with cherry wood, which is quite hard. Contemporary artists often use Sheena ply, which is a lot softer, and the tools can be just held in your hand. The knife, the hangito, held in the hands there, is the way that the ukiyo-e artists were able to get really thin lines by outlining the lines with this sharp, small knife held in the fist. The brushes are special too. The black brushes here push the ink across the block for printing, and the upper ones, the white ones, are a soft hair. I think it's goat, and that's used to dampen paper with water, and also for sizing. But you would not put color on those soft brushes. They're for water. And these tools, it was a little hard to get these tools. They're specialty tools that are now more easily accessible through McLean's and a few other places in the U.S. now. And here I have a short video of the actual printing. You see I'm using that stiff horsehair brush to spread the ink out over the surface of the block. And here the washi, the Japanese paper, fit into the kento and laid down on the dampened block. This is a sheet of baking parchment protecting the back of the paper. And you see how the then pushes the paper against the ink block.
Can you keep going? I always do a little
Now
bit
that's a
of
weight holding the paper in position. I'm going to add just a little bit of darker color to one area on the block and spread it out, gradation printing there. So the paper goes down in exactly the same location, protected sheet, and then printing it a second time. So there's a darker area, gradation on it. Here's a quick look at the carving. This is the Isuki, removing the waste wood from around the margin of the printing area. Okay. I wanted to speak a little bit about my process in relation to this exhibition, which is at the Japanese Garden, and why my work is so rooted in nature. I moved to New York in the 1970s to go to Hunter College, and I studied with a lot of abstract painters. But my interest still remained rooted in nature, and I addressed environmental concerns very directly. I joined a group of artists called Artists for All Species, and we organized exhibitions about the environment at different nonprofit spaces around New York City. And they were about the sort of interconnections of nature and humans. And I like the plankton one. That's a watercolor, actually, not a print. But it was a great way to develop community and get to know a lot of artists in New York City who were also concerned about nature and the environmental challenges. In 1995, I met Bill Payton, an artist in New York City who taught Japanese woodcut. I went to school in the, let's see, when did I, in the 80s, and couldn't find anyone to teach me this Japanese technique. I knew it existed. I'd seen ukiyo-e prints. But it was in 1995 I found this artist who could actually show me more details about how it was done. In 1998, I had a show at AIR Gallery in New York City, and these were some of the first mokuhanga prints I made, and they're quite large, ambitious prints. I didn't sort of realize how difficult it would be to work on this. They're on heavy paper, and they're images from my travels in California of plants that I saw. They're very autobiographical. These are plants that I found and drew and photographed. One of the things that Bill did was introduce me to the Japanese garden in Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Botanic Garden has a Japanese hill and pond garden that was opened in 1915. And every year they would have a Sakura Matsuri, a cherry blossom festival that celebrated Japanese culture. And my teacher, Bill, thought it was very important to include mokuhanga demonstrations in that festival. So at first I would join him, and then he got tired of it or couldn't make it. So I ended up doing it myself. I did it, I can't believe I did it for 20 years. I started in 1996 and I did it till 2016. Every year I would go pack up my equipment and take it to the Botanic Garden where I would show people how it was done. Initially, they had me working outside, which was kind of crazy in the hard to print outdoor in the breeze. And then later, I was able to work inside and give more serious talks and exhibitions. In 2008, I had an important exhibition there at the Brooklyn Botanic Garden. They had a gallery, a big gallery, and I brought all my botanical work there to show at the gallery. I was up for like a month. It was a really great opportunity. And for that exhibition, I made a new print. This cherry blossom here was the focus of the exhibition, and it was composed of blocks from previous work. And this is why I think Japanese woodblock is so flexible. You can reuse blocks like I did here. These are blocks from, the earliest one is I think 1995, and you can see how I used that hummingbird, and also some of the cherries and some of the insects. So in my work, I work kind of slowly and I repeat myself. I like to reuse the blocks, so I save them and incorporate the blocks in new work. And there's a list of some of the places that I made work. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about programs in Japan. The first time I went to Japan was in 2004 to the Nagasawa Art Park program. And this was a residency on Awajishima, sort of a rural part of Japan. And it was held in a community center. And we sat on the floor on tatami mats. I was only there for a portion of it. I was invited by Keiko Kadota, and I was there for a few weeks for the full program. And this is when I met Yunmi Nam and Katie Baldwin, who I'm still in touch with. But this was an important moment for me because it was the first time I'd been to Japan and the first time I understood how connected this technique of printmaking was with Japanese culture. I learned a tremendous amount from being in Japan. Was real eye-opening. In 2011, 11 years after it opened, the Nagasawa Art Park moved to Yamanashi, closer to Tokyo. It changed its name to the Mokuhanga Innovation Laboratory, MiLab, and I visited there twice, I think once during the conference and once for a book writing residency in 2013. And that was a beautiful spot near Mount Fuji in an old a summer school. Beautiful location. And they continued to train people with these, it was a residency program with additional programs in Tokyo too. In addition to the residencies, Keiko Kadota initiated an international conference. And this photo is from the conference in 2017 at the University of Manao, with the second portion organized by Setsuko and Hiroki Morinoe at Donkey Mill Art Center. The first one was in Kyoto and Awaji. The second one was in Tokyo. And this at Donkey Mill at Honolulu was the third one. The next one, the upcoming one, will be in 2027 with Yunmi Nam as chair, and it'll be held in Lawrence, Kansas, at the University of Kansas in Lawrence. So I'm an artist and a writer and juggling a lot of things. One of the important aspects of what I do is teaching. And these are a couple of snapshots of different places that I've taught. Serbia. The middle one is the Lower East Side Print Shop, where I've taught pretty regularly over the years. The upper right is the Brooklyn Botanic Garden again. I've taught in Maine, and on the left in Santa Fe. And in the middle lower is Tokyo Gaidai. I was really a little surprised to be invited to Japan because all of these students have access to a lot of information about Japanese woodblock that it's hard for me as a New Yorker to find. So they were all very technically adept, but they were interested in learning about the international picture of mokuhanga in the larger world outside Japan. And that's what I spoke about in Japan. Let's see. Residencies have always been really important to me. These prints were made at a residency at the University of California, Santa Cruz in 2005. And they're all mokuhanga, combining laser cut and hand cut blocks on handmade Japanese paper. I rely a lot on photos to generate images, at least now I do. Um, and the photos can be, I use them to plan a drawing or to set up to do digital work, machine cut blocks as well. And these were made during a residency, I'm sorry, at Santa Cruz. Another place I wanted to mention as an important place for Japanese woodcut is the Mokuhanga Project Space in Walla Walla, organized by Keiko Hara. It's also offers some classes and most recently residencies to encourage new approaches to Mokuhanga. And these prints are digital prints collaged with woodblock prints. So their combination, which is the focus of that particular residency. Here's a photo of the residency itself, along with some work by Keiko Hara, who's very innovative in her work. She does installations that include Mokuhanga. She also teaches at Anderson Ranch Art Center, which is another great location for Japanese woodblock, great facilities there. And the Mokuhanga Project Space is small, but has some great programs. Let's see, the other place that's really important for Japanese woodblock is the Kentler International Drawing Space. They have a wonderful flat file full of Mokuhanga woodblock, and they're going to be displaying it at the Brooklyn Fine Art Print Fair at Powerhouse Arts in April 2026. And let's see, this photo is Ariadna Abadel and Claudia Lore at Art Print Residence. From Art Print Residence in Spain when they visited Florence at the Kentler Flat Files in 2005. They also promote Japanese woodblock at their residency in Spain outside Barcelona. That's another wonderful place for printmaking. And I have to thank Stephen Salel and the team at the Portland Japanese Garden for organizing this wonderful show. I think it's very important to promote Japanese woodblock as a way of understanding creative printmaking and to make cross-cultural connections with Japan. And here's my website. I've mentioned a lot of different places that are important for Japanese woodblock, and I have a page on my website that has links to the different residencies and classes and the International Mokuhanga Association website as well, which includes documentation of past exhibitions and videos of professional printers working in Mokuhanga. So I hope you can stay in touch that way. I'm very active on social media, and there's a lot of information online. Thank you so much.